Hi. So, my name is Amy Oscar, and I'm here to tell you about the Soul Caller training and to invite you into conversation with me about it because I'd love for you to experience this beautiful work. Making a cup of tea, kind of chilly. It's kind of a gray, rainy day here. Um, but I wanted to sit down and take a moment just to talk to you about what this work is and how it's helped so many people. There's a lot of promises that we make, we spiritual teachers, about, oh, this will change your life, or this will, I don't know, grow your hair back. I don't know what kind of promises people make, but I don't want to make those kind of claims. I want to offer you the experience of um, coming into contact with the essential teachers, the personal conversation, the personal spiritual connection that you're already connected to, the conversation that you're already having. I want to bring it closer to your awareness. And that's what the Soul Caller training is designed to do. It begins with a foundation in awareness, in listening, in opening. It softens some of the sort of hard concepts around, you have to meditate this way, you have to pray this way. We want to open and soften any sort of rigid idea about how things have to be in order for you to get spirituality right. So that's sort of one of the foundations of the work. And then from there, we start looking at relationships, how you relate to others, to your primary partners, if you have that, your family, your friends, your husband, your wife, your boss, your neighbors, the people in your spiritual community and your neighborhood, right? What's your style of relatedness? We sort of look at that, but we also talk about what a sacred relationship looks like. And I'll reveal the great secret that we discover in week 2 of the program. Every relationship that you have is sacred, every single one. Every single relationship that you have with any human being or any other being is an opportunity for you to open into a different kind of listening, of receiving, of engaging with the world from an open mind and an open heart. And so that's there in the training. Practice with that, conversation around that. You can ask questions about that. Lots of people come to the training and ask all kinds of questions about, like, my relationships aren't working, and I've done all the things I thought I was supposed to do. I meditate. I practice a certain kind of listening and communicating that I learned in therapy or in a workshop, and it's still not working. What's wrong, right? And we talk about things like that too. But we also talk about the particular kind of chaos that emerges whenever you begin to approach the edge of your willingness to change. So we talk about that as a kind of wilderness, right? Because with willingness comes a kind of wilderness, the willingness to step across the boundary of what you think you're capable of, or what you think the world is willing to allow you to have, to be. It's hard to change in front of people. It's hard to say, I have always been this way, this kind of person. I've always had this role in the family, in the community. I've always done this kind of work, and I'm just going to change all that. Well, it's going to invite a certain kind of chaos, but also a kind of um, what my daughter used to call feeling like a tourist, where you're just in this new thing and you're not quite sure how to inhabit that. And so in the soul caller training, we address that too. This, how do I inhabit this new self, right? And what's its name, right? Because everything emerges from some sort of constellating center, right? And often what when we reach into our intuitive sense of where we're moving toward, what we're becoming toward, like what is it that you're trying to become, right? Like, what's its name? Often what we come up with is a name, right? I'm moving toward becoming a healer. I'm moving toward becoming a spiritual teacher. I'm moving toward becoming a mother. Uh, a lawyer, a doctor, a writer. Lots of people come into the soul caller training wanting to write and wanting to heal. But there are all kinds everybody from all walks of life have been through this training. I've had, my goodness, I've had people who are stay-at-home moms. I've had people who are nurses. I've had people who've worked in construction, in banking, in law, almost everywhere, in media. Anyway, that's kind of off the point. What I'm trying to say with that long list of names of jobs, people come from all kinds of worlds, really, into this exploration of, what's the inner world that feels more essential, feels more real, and how can I get closer to that and bring more of that into this other world that I'm engaging in. Like, we're not saying in the program, at no point do I talk about quit your job and go join an ashram. It's more like bring the ashram to your job. Right? I mean, that's the work. How can I live as a spiritual being in a physical material world where I have to have a job and pay the bills and take care of my kids and get the groceries and pay, be certain places at certain times. We live in a physical world, a world of space and time, right? And we're not, in the soul caller training, we're not going to go all woo-woo on you. It's actually about becoming more grounded, less flaky, less caught in anxiety and drama, less lifted off your feet and feeling lost inside the story of the world happening around you, and much more grounded in the story of I am a spiritual being taking hold, putting my feet on the ground, and bringing myself to life in full expression, fullness of creativity, fullness of the way I speak about myself, the way I hold myself in the world. I would say if there were a goal, a soft goal in the soul caller work, it would be to come into presence as that which you really are, right? And to be able to hold that presence no matter what's going on around you. So if I make any promise at all for this work, that's the one that seems most viable, most credible, and also most of the people who are coming through the work are saying that's the benefit that they receive. That and a direct relationship with their own sense of being supported and guided by the world itself, the world of nature, and the world of other human beings, and also by the non-physical, the spiritual forces that support all of us, the angels, the devas, the ancestors, and even those who you've loved who passed on, right? Who've gone on to become a kind of spiritual guides for you from beyond. So there's a little bit of woo, lots of practical conversation about living in a real world, in a real way, but as a person who's guided by more than getting through the day, making a living, right, and getting stuff. Right? The Soul Caller training invites you to become a whole, healthy, grounded, spiritual human being in a very real world, in a very real way. So I invite you, because I don't want this to go on too long, I invite you into conversation with me and with this work. If you have any questions, post them, and I'll do my best to answer them.